Don't forget, subscribe, like, and share. Hope you enjoyed the upcoming video.
What's going on, y'all? Today on the block, we have all the way from NYC, Kapri. Let's give it up. How you doing?
I'm good. Good.
That's good. That's good. Everything all right with you?
Yeah, everything's cool.
Okay. So I know you've been going through a lot. We talked about it. So just tell me, how it all started and where you're at now.
Well, September 18th of 2021, I suffered a stroke. My left side was paralyzed. Um, the day before I had the stroke, I went to work. I did a little shopping, and I went to go take my second dose of the vaccine. And I felt a little tired when I got home. So I thought that I was just gonna lay down, take a little nap, and then get back up and cook something for my husband. But I just slept the night away. When I woke up again, like about maybe 6:30 a.m., and I got up and I went to the bathroom as normal. And I felt funny, but I was walking, I was moving around normally. And then I lay back down and I went back to sleep. When I woke up again about 8:30 a.m., I noticed that I was talking funny, but I didn't really pay it any mind. I was just talking to my husband, talking about what we were gonna do that day. Um, and once we decided that we were trying to go see our aunt, um, I got up and I'm like, okay, let me get myself together. But I noticed that I couldn't push myself up on my left elbow. I still didn't think anything of it. So when I tried to get up, I rolled off my bed because I have a really high bed. Just like thinking like, okay, this is just one of those days. Maybe my back is hurting or whatever. And when I did that, I just I just fell to the floor. And I was shocked. Like, I'm like, I can't walk. My husband was like, what's going on with you? I joke around so much. He probably was like, she plays too much. But when he saw that I was serious, he kind of just ran on the other side of the room, picked me up, put me back on the bed. So at the time, by that time, my sister Star was calling me to see how I was feeling from getting the vaccine, and I'm like, I think I'm having a stroke, and she's like, again, because I joke around so much. She's like, stop playing, and I begin to cry, and she's like, are you serious? And I'm like, I started to panic a little, and then she was like, okay, don't worry about it, you know let Aaron call 911. Aaron is my husband. Let him call 911. And she was like, I'll call mommy. She's called my mother, and then once I heard my mother's voice, I felt like I went into like that little girl mode. I started calling for her, like, mommy, mommy. Like, although I'm grown, I just felt like I needed her at that very moment. And she just was really calm, like, it's okay, just calming me down. It took the ambulance. It took my husband to call the ambulance 3 times before they came to get me.
Wow.
They sent the ambulance all the way from the Bronx. And I live in Upper West Side Manhattan.
So for the viewers who are not familiar with, the city, kind of explain that to them, like in distance.
The Bronx is a whole nother borough away from me. So it's no
Okay.
telling where they came from in the Bronx, because the Bronx is huge. It's no telling where they came from in the Bronx. But sometimes it could take you a long time to get to me from the Bronx.
So it's kind of like if you living in different areas, it's probably kind of like you staying in a different whole different town.
Right,
Okay. So they sent a hot ambulance from a whole different area or zip code,
right.
right, to come get you.
To come get me, to take me to the hospital where they have ambulance and amulets. The hospital I live on 62nd, the hospital is on 59th.
Okay.
So what these blocks over here are short. If you know anything about New York, some places where you are you have long blocks and then you have short blocks. This a short block is like I'm trying to think how would I describe a short block. Well, Nick, you know about you know how the short blocks are in Brooklyn,
Okay.
so it's
Hmm.
like that. It's literally the next block over is 60. I mean, the next corner is 61st, and then the next corner is 60. It's not like far.
Hmm.
So I wanted to go to a specific hospital because we know like the hospitals are really good out here. But because they didn't know if I was having a stroke or not, they had to take me to the nearest hospital. So when I got to the hospital, they rushed me into the cardiac arrest room. And no, they could rush me into the resuscitation room. And I'm thinking in my head, these people think I'm dead. And so I'm like, hey, I'm not dead. Why do y'all have me in this room? And I'm like, don't put those little shocky things on me. It's funny now, but it wasn't funny then. But
So the
um,
whole time that this is happening, like you're just scared, right?
yeah,
You're
I'm
not knowing what's going on or what's happening to you.
right. I
Okay.
don't know what's happening. Um, I was my speech was slurred, but not really bad where they couldn't understand what I was saying. So because I knew everything that they were asking me, that was more of a reason why they were really worried, more so worried. And I think I was picking up their fear because they're like, wait a minute, she can't walk, she can't move her arms, she can't do anything, but she knows where she is, she knows her name, she knows who she's with. I knew everything. So
Okay.
they rushed me in to get a CT scan, and the CT scan showed that I didn't have a stroke.
Okay.
So when they brought me back in the room, they explained to my husband and myself that I didn't have a stroke. They told me I didn't have a stroke. So I called my mother like I didn't have a stroke. They said I didn't have a stroke. Um, but they didn't know what they were gonna do next. Um, I do have underlying health issues. So they checked all of that. My blood pressure was great. My glucose levels were great. So they didn't understand what was happening.
Hmm.
So begin to everybody kept like so many different people were kept asking me what happened to me the day before. What did I do the day before? And I explained to them that I got the vaccine. And some of them they were like, "What?" And then some of them was like, "Oh, that's impossible."
Hmm.
But then I had some doctors that was like, "We don't know what it does." That was really keeping it real with me. Like, we don't know what it's going to do. So when they kept me I stayed in the emergency room for I think 2 days, and when they gave me the MRI, that's when it showed that I had an ischemic stroke,
Okay.
and
So what did they tell you that was?
they told me that the type of ischemic stroke that I had was mild.
Hmm.
And they said it was mild because I didn't have hemorrhaging on my brain,
Okay.
but I still had the paralyzed side. Um,
So basically, they told you after running more tests you had a mild stroke.
right.
Okay.
But in my mind, a mild stroke doesn't look like anything that's going paralyzed. I didn't know. Um, they didn't give me like false hope or anything like that. They just was like, you're young, you could bounce back from this. You just got to work really hard, the normal talk. So they kept running tests and just trying to figure out what was going on. So, they just kept blaming it on the fact that I have high blood pressure and I have diabetes. So that could have been the cause of it. But I did some research. So the ischemic stroke is affiliated also with COVID-19. And when COVID-19 first happened, I had it.
Okay,
When it,
so you had, COVID-19 and you actually survived it.
yes,
What were
I
your
had,
symptoms?
um, I couldn't hold my head up for too long. I couldn't sit up for too long. I had a fever.
Hmm.
Every I had a fever. Um, but I was sweating, so I kept sweating it out. Um, I have an amazing PCP, so she kept telling my husband not to take me to the hospital to let me sweat it out. Um, I couldn't eat anything. I couldn't taste. I couldn't smell. Um, I was really weak.
So
Um,
what meds did you take? What did you do to fight off, the COVID vaccine? I mean, COVID sickness.
um, I didn't take any medication. My husband would make me this tea. It was lemon, hot water, lemon, garlic, and honey,
Hmm.
and he make it every day. Every
Okay.
um that and my mother-in-law told him to make onion tea for me. It was disgusting. It was disgusting, but it helped. It helped. I I think that I had it for a really long time.
Mm,
Or, it was like a little over a month that I had.
okay.
And it was in the beginning where everything, a lot of people were passing away. So we really didn't know what was what.
And this was during, I guess, the height of the sickness, like you said. What precautions were you taking? You was wearing your mask and all that stuff.
Wearing my mask, I would sanitize and washing my hands. I worked in a daycare at the time. I was an assistant teacher. And, you know, parents got to do what they got to do. I understand. But when you send your children to school sick, we suffer hard from that. And a lot of the kids, their parents traveled. So, at the time they were saying that kids couldn't get it, so it was impossible. But I don't think that was it. I don't think that was the case at all.
Okay. So you had COVID-19 and you
Mm.
got over it, and then take me back to where you left off at when you was doing your research and you found out what you did.
Right. So basically, it was saying that um, people that had COVID-19, they shouldn't have gotten the vaccine.
Okay. And where did you read this from? Who?
It was on the internet.
Okay, so it was somewhere on the internet that you read it. It wasn't from a certified doctor or anything like that.
No, no.
Okay.
Um, they were saying that you shouldn't have gotten it or whatever, or you shouldn't get it. Um, my antibodies kept growing, so my doctor checks them all the time. So once you have a virus, you grow antibodies, and I kept growing antibodies. So I don't know if that was part of the problem, um, as to what made things clash. Excuse me. I don't know if that was part of the problem that what made things clash, because if I had antibodies strong inside of my system, then this vaccine was pushing you was pushing the virus inside of me. So that I mean, yeah, they gonna always say that because I have underlying health issues, that was the reason, but I feel otherwise.
Yeah, I think a lot of it is the vaccine. It doesn't have the actual virus. It's a messenger RNA
Oh,
type deal, so it mimics
oh okay.
the
Oh,
virus. Um, but so I guess the question I have is, so after you did your research on the internet, right?
mm-hmm.
Did did you talk with anyone else in the medical world to kind of validate how you were feeling?
Well, I spoke to some of the doctors when I was in the hospital. I stayed in the hospital for about 5 weeks, um, which I wound up getting a really great therapy team. And I spoke to some of the doctors there. They can't really say it, you know. They would like give me the eye, or you know, say little things like you can never be so sure, or things like that. But there were other people in the hospital that they didn't have a stroke like me, but they had developed Bell's palsy. Bell's palsy.
Bell's palsy.
Yep. And I had that too. I had that too when I was younger.
Mm,
I had it when I
wow.
was 14.
Okay. So let me ask you this: when you went to go take your shot, right, the
Mhm.
COVID shot, the first one, you didn't have any symptoms or any problems with that.
No, my arm was just sore and I was extremely tired.
Okay. So the second one, they had no reason to believe that you would have the type of reaction that you did. But prior to you taking the shots, what was the screening process? What did they ask you?
They didn't ask me anything. They just, you fill out this paper, this thing online, and it asks you, are you allergic to vaccines? I've never been allergic. Not that I've never been allergic to any. So I said no.
Mm,
They ask you a serious question. They ask you if you have that, underlying health issues. They ask you which ones you have. Um, they ask you what type of medications are you on, but that was basically it. Um, when they gave you the shot, they tell you to sit for, was it 10 minutes or 15 minutes? Just, I guess that was the first one. I guess to see how it was going to react. If you had any side effects. And then when I had the second one, they was like, okay, in and out. All right, so see you later. They weren't really concerned about anything else. But I was very nervous taking it.
mm,
Very nervous.
okay. What was your apprehension about? What were you nervous about?
Um, I just thought that it was very fast. I thought it was too soon. I didn't understand how they came up with the virus so fast. But yeah, I mean, not a virus. I'm
The
sorry.
vaccine?
A vaccine so fast. Yet we have all these other things. I can't find a vaccine for that. But this one was so fast. So I'm like, did y'all really, really have time to, work on this, research it? But they were making it very hard for us in New York. I don't know about anywhere else, but in New York, you were losing your jobs. You couldn't go into store, restaurants. You basically, they were just taking our lives from us, like our social life from us.
Hmm.
You know, and quite frankly, people need their jobs. So you buckle down and you just say, you know what, I have to do what I have to do, and you hope for the best. You pray for the best. Same out.
So, so when you saw the, uh, let's just say the data, when they start coming out with the data, people who took the vaccine versus people who didn't take the vaccine, and how the survival rate increased, etc., that still didn't make you feel comfortable with the shot?
No, no, I just think that everybody's body system is different. So I just always felt that we should have a choice as to what we want to inject in our systems.
Have you had anyone who's died from COVID? Any friends, family members?
Yes.
Okay. So how do you feel about that? When were they vaccinated or?
Well, at the time when they died, there was no vaccine.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't. It was in the very beginning stages of it all when nobody really knew what was going on.
Okay. I had like, I want to say, three high school friends who died from COVID,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, and they wasn't vaccinated.
Oh.
So so um I and this is just me. I think in for my case, and you're right, everybody should have a choice whether they want to take the shot or not, right? But for me, I felt like it was better for me to have the shot. So I went
Hmm.
on and took the vaccine. And I understand, you know, the thoughts about, how fast it came in to production and, given to everyone. And I did have my apprehensions about the shot as well. Um, it's just normal to kind of wonder, the process and, how quickly it came to
Right.
be. But I just had to sit down and analyze and thought about it, and I made the best decision that I felt was for me and my
Yeah,
family. So
absolutely.
so um which one did you take?
Pfizer.
Okay, I took Moderna.
My second dose was the day that they made it FDA approved.
Okay.
Was that same day.
Okay. Okay.
Hmm. I mean, there's no judgment on my part. I feel like everybody has the right to feel the way they feel. Um, I always say I took one for the team.
Yeah, well, I think you have to look at it in the whole, a bigger picture of what happened. Um, is it possible that it did cause those symptoms? It is. But is it also possible that it didn't? It is. No
Yeah.
one can tell you. No one can tell you. And that's the frustrating part about it. And I definitely understand that.
Right.
Because when something like this happens, you want answers. You want
Right.
direct answers, and you want someone to tell you this is the cause and this is what happened. So you can at least, have a peace of mind.
Right.
Know, okay, well, I know for sure this is what happened and this is why. And I know what, precautions to put in place.
Right.
But and I think that's a lot of the fear that everyone has with COVID and the vaccine and everything that surrounds it, because no one really feel comfortable, because you may hear something from one source, you hear something from another source, and it's
Hmm.
always conflicting. No one's saying, okay, we're all on the same page, and let's move forward together, right?
Hmm.
Someone's saying, don't take it because you know this had happened to you, and another
Right.
person was saying, take it because this. So I think it separates, and it puts a lot of people in a bad place. It separates
Right.
families. It separates friends, because I've had people, friends who are on both sides of the fence, and
Yeah.
that can cause an argument. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah,
It just begins to get real deep. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, it's true.
But going back to after you had your stroke, right? And you're in the hospital, so you go to physical therapy. You finding out that you can't move your arm, you can't walk, you can't do a lot of things. So what happens next? You go into physical therapy, and then what?
Um, I was in a acute, intense physical therapy. Um, I began to walk really fast. Walk on my leg really fast. I mean, it wasn't
So
like
just to clarify, and I ain't trying to be funny, but the way you said it, you walking on your leg pretty fast. What does that mean? You moving? You walking down? That leg is moving, or you
oh
just
yeah, like I'm applying pressure into the my leg.
so you
So I'm bearing weight into my leg where there is no muscle.
okay?
You know, you once you go paralyzed, you lose lose. You know, you lose your
So
muscle mass.
you don't have no strength in your leg
Yeah,
to support yourself.
yeah.
Okay.
So moving around like that, and it kind of gave me quick hope, if that makes sense. Like,
Okay.
oh,
So
I'm doing this fast. Like, okay, this is gonna be easy breezy.
then the doctors, what are the doctors telling you? Your therapist telling you, yeah, it shouldn't take long before everything starts to fire on again, or what are they telling you?
They're telling me that everybody is different, but because I'm young, I could definitely make a full recovery. Um, I recently went to the doctor, to my rehab doctor, and he basically told me that I'm making great progress, and to keep up with the physical therapy, he sees great things. Um, so that felt good because you begin to your mental starts to play mess with you. You start seeing your friends do everything, and you want to do what you normally was able to do a few weeks ago.
Hmm.
So
So the first week you up on your leg, you like, okay, yeah, I'm getting it now. And then when did it kind of like slow down for you? It's like, uh-oh, I hit a kind of a brick wall right here.
I fell. I fell in the
Okay.
hot,
Okay, what happened?
and I fell on the side that was paralyzed.
Was it your leg gave out? What happened?
I was basically trying to go to the bathroom after trying to call the nurses to help me.
Hmm.
I was on minimum assistance, but I still needed somebody to watch me walk. Um, but I kept calling and calling, and no one answered me. So I tried to get to the bathroom by myself, and everything was fine. But the door in the room that I was in was kind of messed up. It didn't stay open on its own. So my brain was telling me just use your other hand to open the door, as it would normally tell me to do.
Hmm.
Kind of made me trip up,
Mm. So
and
you
that's how
fell.
my balance. Yeah.
Okay.
So, uh, some sort of reality set in at that moment.
So who helped you up? They finally came and helped you?
The
After
therapy
you,
team, because of where my bathroom was where the room door, the front door was, and I kind of like fell. I fell really hard, so they heard it with their door closed,
mm,
and um, I kind of was like halfway in my room and out in the hallway.
hmm,
So my therapist, one of my therapists saw me, and she ran to me, and then they came and they helped me up.
mm. Okay. And then that's when it kind of sunk in. You said that, this is going to be harder than I really thought it would be.
Right.
Okay. So at that point, What were you able to do? Were you able to lift your arm? Were you able to,
No,
crack a smile? Any of that?
no, I was literally crying. Like I couldn't. I think that it hit me like you you can't move like you was able to move a few weeks ago. Like you can't do it right now.
Hmm.
So I just cried. Like I don't know if I was embarrassed. I'm 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 almost positive I was embarrassed.
Okay. So what happened next? When did you start to be able to kind of, I guess, be self-sufficient? Like at least you still can't move your arm, right?
No, I can
But
move it a little bit, but I can't move my fingers a lot. Like I can't wiggle them. My hand really, I can't do anything with my hand. My arm moves a little more so from the shoulder. I can move it from my elbow a little, but it's delayed. But they did tell me that my arm will be the last thing to come back.
okay, what about your smile or your lips?
Um, my face, nothing really happened with my face. It's a little like a part of my face is a little numb, and like the tip of my lip and the left side of my tongue is still tingly.
Hmm.
Um,
Okay.
I always had like a little drop to my face because of me having Bell's palsy when I was younger.
Okay. So up until this point, just to retract, you're able to kind of move your face, and
Mm.
you can kind of move your arm a little bit, but it's very subtle. It's not
Yeah, I
one hundred
can't go
percent.
right.
And in your leg, what about your leg?
I walk back and forth. My knee and my ankle is what the issue is. I have sort of a drop foot, so I wear a brace with my sneakers. I can flex my foot down, but I'm learning how to flex it back up. So it can that's the reason why I wear the brace. And then my knee is hard to bend on its own because my hamstrings are still weak.
Mm,
So that's what I'm learning to build back up.
okay. And you got to do this all on your own because you was telling me something about therapy. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, so February 2nd they abruptly stopped my therapy. Um the insurance, my health insurance, due to whatever was going on at the place where I was doing physical therapy, they felt like I wasn't improving. I wasn't making any progress. So they said that I medically didn't need physical therapy. So when I went to go see my rehab doctor, he was like, absolutely not. You absolutely need this and you're making great progress. So he just wrote me new scripts so that I can do therapy again. But I'm gonna do it instead of me going to like a private place, I'm gonna go to do it in the hospital. That way they can report back to him.
Okay, that's good. That's good. So I know you told me before you was kind of worried about that because they was kind of trying to, I guess, do you dirty, so to speak, in that
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, they were just saying, "Oh, you can't get it. You have to wait 60 days." And they weren't trying to give me any type of information as to why they were s- they were saying I couldn't get it, but they were making it seem like they were telling them that I needed it, and they did do it in some sense, but on paper they weren't writing it like that.
Mm,
So it means nothing if you tell somebody word of mouth.
yeah.
If it's black and white, they're not gonna pay attention to it.
Hmm. Hmm.
So they would give me a hard time there, but I was upset at first. But I spoke to my bishop about it, and he think he thinks I'm one of the strongest people in the world. I don't always feel like that, but he was just basically saying, "This is your time to put in the work too. Like until they get you back in, let's pump you. Let's do it. We got to do it on our own. You know, I'm here with you if you need me. You know, when you need me, you know I'm there." So he kind of just like eased my mind about it. Um, sometimes you got to go back to remembering the promises of God, and He doesn't put the spirit of fear in us. So I needed to release that fear and put my best foot forward. Fear is very crippling. It is very crippling.
It is. It is. It hinders a lot of people from doing, a lot of things.
Yep. And I was like stuck for a minute because I'm like, I don't know how to do this. I don't have the technique to do this on my own. And then I just did a lot of praying and telling you, when you got a good leader that you serve under that loves you and has your back, is good. It's good because you sometimes you need that reassurance.
Hmm. Definitely. Definitely. So, present time right now, how do you feel? Like, tell me
Um,
what's going on in your mind. I know we just had the conversation not too long ago. You feeling, good in spirit, but overall, how do you feel?
Overall, I feel like God, I trust your way. I trust you, but in my mind, my heart, I'm trusting you, but my mind is like, am I gonna make a complete recovery? Am I gonna come out of this victorious to be able to help someone else in the process? Like, look, if I did it, you can too. Am I going to be able to stay? And not even if I just come, I'm not. I want to get to the point where even if it doesn't happen the way I think it should happen, then I'm still grateful for what I have on that I'm alive.
Yeah, and also that's what I was about to say. I think it depends on how you define victory.
Right,
Um, because your first victory is basically you living right now telling the story.
right.
So how many times you plan on being victorious, and what defines victory for you? Because you're going to have a lot of wins. That's that's obvious. You know, you're up and walking. You
Mm-hmm.
know, you're going to have small wins. Just staying motivated and keeping at it, and
Yeah,
you
I have.
know, keep on fighting.
That's all I can do. I gotta keep fighting. I gotta keep pushing. I gotta keep trusting. I gotta keep believing, and most importantly, I gotta believe in myself. If I don't believe in myself, then I'm never gonna push myself to the capacity that I know I could be in or I can make it to.
That is 100% true. That is 100% true. You always have to, you know, be your best cheerleader.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Always be that.
yeah. I mean, like but it's difficult. I wouldn't sit here and tell someone like, oh yeah, you could get through it. I have my good days. I have my bad days. I'm used to doing everything on my own. You know, but
Hmm.
now I depend on people. Um, I'm glad that I am able to do a lot more for myself, so I don't have to depend on people for everything anymore.
Hmm.
But I'm getting there.
Okay. So normal chores like cleaning or cooking, are you able to do that?
No, not just yet.
Okay.
Not just,
So so your husband is still helping you out in those areas or
Mhm.
someone?
My sister.
Your sister?
Hmm.
Okay. Okay.
I can't wait to do those things though. Cooking is like my one of my favorite pastimes. So,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then
That's what I want to ask you about. I know cooking was your thing. Tell me
yeah,
about that. You even started up a little thing. What was it called?
for the cooking,
Mm-hmm.
for the catering business called Lavinia's Taste.
Okay.
Uh, I did it because my grand Nana was everything cooking, you know. So I remember when you guys moved, I would call her on how to make certain things. I think I omelet my sisters to death, but yeah, that's what inspired me to do it. So I decided to do that, and then remember going back to letting fear cripple you. I let fear get in the way of that
Mm.
because I
Well,
felt everybody else is doing it. So you know, I felt like maybe they're better than me, but everybody's different. Everybody cooks different. Everybody puts different love into their food. You know, so I'm definitely. I don't want to keep it to myself anymore.
okay. So once you get up and going, you plan on, restarting it?
I'm gonna restart that. I'm definitely gonna restart my um a self care essential business. Right before I had this stroke, I was doing really well in that particular business. Uh,
Okay. What was that? Tell me about that. What was it?
it's called bonding. Um, I make my own soap, oils, uh, bath salt, body scrubs, those things for.
Okay.
And I initially did it because with due to me having COVID, I just needed to feel better about myself. I was didn't want to feel sick anymore, and I just like I wanted to do something that help women feel better about themselves. And as I started doing it, I began making this soap, this turmeric soap, and my bishop owns a nail salon, and I went there one day, and I always tell him about what I want to do, and I gave him some, and he boasted about this soap so much, like everybody started buying it. When I tell you everybody, still to this day, I am still completing orders for
Really?
stuff. Yep,
Wow.
yep. And then that's what we had a pop up shop at the church, and he told them to ask me, and it was amazing. I was scared, I was nervous, but I had a team, and I did my thing. And
So
then I just
what is a pop-up shop? Because I heard
a,
about it, but I don't know the details about it.
a pop up shop is where vendors come and promote their business. So
Hmm.
whatever business you have, you get to promote your business, you get to sell your product and make money, and that just get yourself out there.
Okay. So you had the pop-up shop at the church.
Hmm.
And what was your first products you were selling? What did you sell first? The turmeric soap, and what else did you have?
So the body scrub, it's a sugar scrub and oil. The
Okay,
oil,
and it sold pretty well.
yes, I did really well for my first one, and then I did another one, and I did it in the area where we're really from. So it kind of looked like I told them to come, but I didn't. I just put myself out there, and then they was there for something else, for someone else that I know. And when
Mm-hmm.
they see me, they just let everybody else know that I was there, and I just came off big. But I was able to get myself out there a little bit more for the people that I grew up with that, you kind of lose touch with and stuff like that. And so, but when that happened, I did the pop up that Saturday, and so the following Saturday is when I had the stroke.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah. But I hooked up
So,
with a lot of people. Were great. I met. Well, I knew one of the guys, so he would, you know, keep me posted, and we wound up getting into this group on Facebook. So it was really cool. But then when I went to the hospital, so many people were like, "Listen, I'm having a pop up shop. I would love for you to sell your product." Because when you go to pop up shops, you take people business cards and stuff like that, and they give their own pop up shops. So they were hitting me up, and I'm like, "Oh man," I'm like, "Oh, I'm gonna sit this one out." But then when they started contacting me a lot, I had to let them know that I had a little health scare or whatever. But when I get better, I'll reach out to them.
okay, okay. That's all right. That's all right. You just gotta push through it. That's
Yeah.
your call. That sounds like your calling right there.
Um, I just wanna. I know that I always wanted to feel really good, but I didn't know how to make myself feel like that. I'm so used to being there for everybody else. I didn't know how to be there for myself.
Mm-hmm.
So when I started doing that, and then when something like this happens, you like somebody, everything is just sabotage. So you start telling yourself things, and I'm like, people just don't want me to win. But so you start telling yourself, well, this negative stuff that wasn't true. I just had to remind myself on who I am, and I'm not, doing making soap every day like how I was, or but I am researching. I am jotting things down so that when I come back out, I'm better than ever. I'm stronger,
Mm-hmm.
and and I'll have new scents and new products and new different things. Especially, I'm working on my gentleman's box. I'm not forgetting about you guys. I think it's important, especially for you, Nick, because you got a beard, so that gentleman is gonna be great for you.
Oh, well, I'm gonna be your first customer, right? I'm gonna be your
Absolutely.
first customer as I rub my beard and you see the little gray right there.
Of course. I'm just taking it one day at a time.
That's
I
good.
got a little, gu- I got a little guardian angel, as we call Nana. So I ain't by myself. Oh, that's another thing. When I was in the hospital and they gave me the CT scan, I thought that they had put, they put like this covering thing over you sometimes. I'm like, oh, who? I was talking to the doctor. I'm like, that thing was so heavy laying on my stomach. He was like, and I was like, y'all didn't put that covering thing over me that you do when you do an X-ray. They like, no, and I'm like, automatically, I was just like, Nana, you was covering me. You here with me? It happened 4 months after she passed away, so you know
hmm
that was pretty heavy on me.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
I can imagine. I
yeah.
can imagine. But so what advice would you give to the viewers for someone who may be going through something similar to what you went through?
Um, First and foremost, take care of your health. I know that some things are genetically attached to you, but we can change that narrative for our lives. We don't have to keep that same cycle going just because it runs in our family. Go to the doctor, get screenings, get checked, um, eat healthy. Um, but if you happen to have the same situation happen to you, believe that all things are going to work out for you. If you keep a positive mindset, you'll never get in a space to where you're down, so you won't feel sick. And keep praying. It'll all work out. It'll all work out.
That's dope. That's dope. All right, you got the block hot, so we about to be out.
All right. Thanks for having me.
Hey, I love it. Appreciate you coming on.
Thank you for having me.